What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you today on YouTube. And today I've got some football focus in my Scarecrow shirt and my Frankenstein hat, and I am ready to bring you guys some football talk today. I promised I'd bring this segment back and do more football talk, so I'm going to bring you guys the NFL Week 3 power rankings. Now, ESPN does their own, I do my own. I've been doing this for about 7 years on several different sites. And I'm going to bring you guys a weekly segment of power rankings. Now, this is not indicative of where I think teams will go. This is not based on the entire season moving forward. This is just power rankings for where the teams are 3 weeks into the season. So you'll notice there are some notable teams left off here, like the Carolina Panthers, like the New York Jets, like the Cincinnati Bengals, who I think could be playoff teams and could wind up being very good by the end of the season, but are not very good right now and have losing records right now. So I'm just basing this on where the teams are so far, 3 weeks into the season, and they will change week to week. So I've ranked my top 10 NFL teams, and I will give you guys a brief breakdown on that list and why. So my number 10 team is the Baltimore Ravens. They're 3-0. Now I know I'm going to have some 2-1 teams ahead of them on this list. And number 10 is a little low for a 3-0 team. I just don't believe in Baltimore. I don't think they're that good. I think they've gotten lucky so far. They are about 2 or 3 plays away from being 0-3 right now. They were in 3 close games where bad breaks happened. They should have lost to the Jaguars. They haven't looked very good so far. By the same token, they are 3-0. Joe Flacco has found a little bit of a renewed passing sense. Steve Smith still has some left in the tank. The line's protecting Flacco enough. But overall, again, it's a 3-0 record, so they've got to be on the list. I'd be remiss if I didn't include them, but I'm not overly impressed with where they are. They're still, the running game's not very strong. The defense is kind of meh, even though Suggs is back and healthy. So they're 3-0 now. I think they're going to wind up falling flat, but they've got to be on the list because they're undefeated so far. So number 10, Baltimore Ravens. Number 9, the 2-1 Atlanta Falcons, who got a big win Monday night. Their offense looks back to form. They've now won 2 in a row. Matt Ryan looks really good. Julio Jones, despite being absent against the Saints, has played pretty good so far this season. They have a renewed sense of a running game with Freeman and Coleman. The supporting cast this year has been good. Sanu has come back nicely for them. The second year Justin Hardy has been pretty solid. They have some weapons on offense. The defense added a lot of guys in the offseason and was talked about being one of the most improved defenses. They haven't looked very good so far on defense. Those new names are going to have to spark some turnovers and start getting some big stops in key games. But nonetheless, the offense is flying and they're 2-1, so they're number 9 on my list. Number 8, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. This one is more of a defensive pick. The defense has been on fire. I have their defense in fantasy. I scored 35 points last week for me in fantasy. Kansas City always finds a way to just manage the game and play good defense. They have that old school mentality. Whether it's Jamal Charles, who's out right now, they're running the ball right now with Sharkandrick West and Spencer Ware. Those guys are looking very good in relief. Alex Smith is just managing the game and doing what he always does. Macklin's doing just enough. They don't have a big cast of guys on offense, but Macklin and Kelsey are all they really need right now. Even without Charles, they're very impressive in just managing the game with Smith and playing really good defense. Jason Peters, I think, has 4 picks in 2 games. He's been on fire. These guys are playing great defense and they're managing the game. So they're 2-1, and they're actually in the hunt in the AFC at the end of the year, I think, to be a playoff team, to be a wild card team. So very impressive so far for the Chiefs, 2-1. The number 7 team on my list, Seattle Seahawks. They haven't played that well yet, but they're going to at some point. Russell Wilson looks a little bit injured and banged up, and he's being looked at this week. He may or may not play this week. But, they've been NFC elite for the last 3 or 4 years. I don't see why they won't be again. They still managed to be 2-1, even though they look very, very bad against the Rams. The Rams always have their number for some reason. St. Louis/Los Angeles Rams have beaten them the last several years in a row, crazily. But nonetheless, despite that one setback, they're 2-1. Doug Baldwin looks really good. Lockett is going to be a really fun guy to watch once he gets fully healthy. The running game is still coming into its own with Kristen Michael and Thomas Rawls, so that's going to get a little better as the season goes on. And the defense is going to improve and get back to their place. So you put a great defense in there with a healthier Russell Wilson and Lockett. I think they're going to be something to watch. Graham has come back nicely, and I think they're going to be among the NFC top teams at the end of the season. Number 6, my Pittsburgh Steelers. Granted, I am from Pittsburgh. I am a homer. I wanted to put them like number 2 or 3 on the list up until this week's big loss to Philadelphia, the Eagles blew us out of the water, kicked our stinking butts in every aspect of the game, and we deserve to be lower on this list. So we're down to number 6. I had us being the second best team in the NFL coming into this week, but the beatdown took us down to number 6. We're getting Le'Veon Bell. I said the Steelers. Steelers are getting Le'Veon Bell back this week. Marcus Wheaton will be one more week removed from the injury and be back on the field healthy, so he's going to get better. And you add Bell and Wheaton into a team that already has, Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Jesse James playing pretty well. Sammy Coates has become one of the best deep threats in the NFL. He has like 4 plays of over 40 yards in the last 3 weeks. He's been on fire. Eli Rogers looks to be pretty solid. And again, on defense, they've done a pretty good job until this week. The first 2 games, they held some pretty decent teams to very lackluster offensive days. So as long as the linebackers are healthy on defense, I'm looking at Shazier and Jarvis Jones, they can be an impact team. As long as their defense can bend and not break, Big Ben and that offense can put up 40 points a week. So I think they're going to be among the AFC's best teams at the end of the year. And right now they're 2-1, my number 6 team. So number 5 on the list, Green Bay Packers, 2-1. Again, another case of Aaron Rodgers getting back on track, much like the Falcons and Matt Ryan. Aaron Rodgers has looked very good on offense. He did have one kind of off week, but he's looked good in 2 out of 3. Jordy Nelson looks back. Devontae Adams is playing pretty good. They're doing good work with Randall Cobb. Eddie Lacy is still running hard despite the weight issues and being talked about needing to slim down. He's done pretty well, and the defense is making plays for once. They're actually creating out there and looking better than they have probably in the last 3 or 4 years. So the improved defense and the offense being back on track, again, I think the Packers are going to be one of the final 4 teams in the NFC this year for the NFC title. So look out for the Packers later. They're 2-1 right now, my number 5 team. Top 4 teams, here we go. Number 4, the 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz has been very impressive so far. It's only 3 weeks in, so I'm not going to crown the guy a Hall of Famer or anything, but he hasn't turned the ball over. He's the first quarterback to ever start 3-0 and not throw any interceptions. I think he has like four touchdown passes and no picks right now. He's managing the game, but he's also looking downfield. They've used the tight ends very well as safety blankets, Zach Ertz and Brett Selleck. They're getting the most out of their young receivers. Dorial Green-Beckham has a lot more in the tank to show. Nelson Aguilar's look pretty solid. Jordan Matthews has looked good. They have a nice array of spread offensive weapons. And on defense, again, the linebackers are playing a little better. They still need to improve on defense, but they shut down Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, in my opinion, is the best NFL offense this year, and Philadelphia totally shut them down and pressured Ben very well and covered Antonio Brown very well, under 40 yards for Brown this week. So the secondary is improving, the linebackers are tackling well, and the offense is really spreading out and letting Wentz do his thing. So as long as Wentz can avoid turnovers and play smart, they're going to be a really good team this year, and they're looking like the best team in the NFC East. NFC East, yes. Top 3 teams, here we go. Minnesota Vikings, 3-0. That defense is special. That defense right now is looking like the number 1 defense in the NFL again. Safeties are hard-hitting and covering well. They're generating a lot of turnovers. They're getting a ton of pressure in the backfield on quarterbacks. They look really good on defense. They are just shutting people down left and right. I think this defense is top 3 in the league, if not number 1. Then you look at the offense. Sam Bradford coming in, managing the game pretty well. He's looking pretty good out there. They've already beaten Green Bay, which is a big divisional game for them, and gotten a signature win. Stephon Diggs is one of the most underrated players right now. He might be the most improved player so far in 2016 season. And this is all without Adrian Peterson. They're doing this with Asiata and McKinnon, who are looking solid. And they're looking really good there with the tight end and with Stephon Diggs. So managing the game on offense, playing good defense, formula for 3-0. Number 2 team, the Denver Broncos are 3-0. Another team with a top 3 or 4 defense in the entire NFL. Generating turnovers, getting a ton of sacks. Might be leading the league right now in sacks and forced fumbles. I don't know that for sure. But they are a top sack team. Good physical and coverage on the outside. And again, Trevor Siemian is again, one of the most improved players in the league this year, if not the most. He was a journeyman backup for a long, long time, and now he is playing very well. And not just managing the game either. He's looking downfield. He's using his targets. Demarius Thomas looks physical and strong. Emmanuel Sanders catching like 3 touchdowns this week. He's been a big deal. They're using their guys to the best of their ability. They're moving the ball. And C.J. Anderson, again, looks renewed behind that line as well. So they're doing more than they were expected to on offense, and they're doing what they were expected to on defense. So they're 3-0. and they're barely number 2. They were almost number 1. My number 1 team is another 3-0 team. You guys can guess by now. Process of elimination, the 3-0 New England Patriots. I'm just incredibly impressed with being 3-0. They beat a team who I thought was very underrated in Houston, made them look bad last week. And again, they've done this. They've gotten to 3-0 with their third string quarterback now. They had the backup quarterback was in for quite a while. Now they're down to Jacoby Brissett, the third string quarterback, playing, and without Gronk. So they have not had Brady. They've not even had their second string quarterback for a game now. And they haven't had Gronk the entire time. So you take away the 2 best weapons they have on offense, and they've still beaten teams handily. Their defense has stepped up to par and played better than expected. Jamie Collins is on fire for them. And like I said, all this with a third string quarterback and a backup tight end. And they really have had no standout stars. Edelman's kind of playing banged up, and they have Amendola, but nothing special on offense to write home about. And they're just rolling. I mean, those guys Brissett's come out solid. And look for the backup, too. I can't recall his name right now. But look for the backup to be getting a contract at the end of the season with somebody because he played pretty good in those first 2 games, and NFL teams like to give big contracts out to short-lived guys. So the New England Patriots, they're getting Gronk back, I think, this week, and they're getting Brady back either this week or next week. I think next week. So they're getting their 2 big guys back. They're undefeated and getting back 2 of the best players in the NFL. So I see them being, if not number 1, at least the number 2 seed in the AFC by the end of the year. So, Patriots. So, again, your top 10 list is all laid out there for you. What do you guys think about my top 10? Did I leave anybody out you think should be in there? Who was ranked too low? Who was ranked too high? Tell me in the comments down below. Until next time, guys, this has been Football Focus, your power rankings for Week 3. I'm Jason Burke. I'll see you guys soon.